What's up, Renee?
Dr. John, how are you?
I'm having the time of my life. How are you?
Well, I've been better.
Uh-oh. All right, what happened?
Okay. Well, about 6 weeks ago, I terminated a friendship
Okay.
with not only a friend, but my neighbor.
Okay. What happened?
Well, a lot it was coming. I have a family. Okay, let me give you some backstory.
Hold on. Let's go to the end, and then we'll reverse engineer it. Okay.
Okay.
So what happened that you terminated this friendship?
She had attached herself to my husband and I, my family and I. I was not able to do anything without including her, and if I did, she was upset.
What was going on in her life?
Well, that's just it. She has no life.
Whoa! Shots fired, Renee.
No.
What do you mean?
No, I'm sorry.
No,
well,
that's okay.
I mean,
No. Be unfiltered. Be unfiltered. That's the only way we're going to get to the truth.
She has no friends.
Okay.
She lives with her 86-year-old mother. Her husband, that was he was 80, passed away 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And even prior to that, he had been sick for a long time, but she had no one.
Okay.
So when I moved here, she, after 6 months, decided, I want to be your friend. And it was a love bomb. It was full on.
Did it feel good at first?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it did, because I was alone here. My husband was planning to retire. We bought this place 1,000 miles away near our children, but they're still 30 minutes, 40 minutes away. And it was nice. I didn't know a soul here.
Yeah.
And it was nice. And so we did things together. We'd sit out and we'd chat and have a glass of wine and carrot, and all of a sudden it was constant. And my husband came home once a month to see me. And of course, we'd have the family in and we'd plan things. And it got to where I couldn't plan anything because the questions were constant. When's he coming home? And what do you plan to do? And, are the kids coming? Who all's coming? Oh, I'd love to see them. And then, I'll come up.
And what about early on saying, oh, thank you so much. We're going to have just a private, personal family time tonight, but we'll see if we can all get together at some point while they're here.
I did that.
Okay. And then she just ran right over you?
She did. And not only that, she started becoming very disappointed.
But that's her choice.
Well, I know that. But, she got aggressive when the invitation wasn't extended.
Yeah.
And we had a little incident a year ago where she lashed out at me for something, and I couldn't speak to her at the time, but I did a few weeks later. I sat her down and I said, I'm your friend, and I've been very good to you, and I think likewise, but you can't speak with me like that.
Renee, yeah! Dude. Yes, if everyone in the world did what you just did, we'd have a different planet. Good on you.
I mean, I couldn't do it at the time because we had her elderly mother. We were in LAX traveling to Hawaii.
She went to Hawaii with y'all?
Well, no, she asked me to go with them because she couldn't handle her mother by herself.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I didn't realize I was going to become a porter, but, anyway, she had a meltdown at me, and I couldn't say anything at the time because it would have just ruined her mother's trip. And I love her mother. Well,
good for you. That shows some emotional maturity and some restraint, and good on you. But it sounds like you sat down, had that conversation, didn't change anything.
Didn't. It didn't.
Can I ask you, you mentioned something, and
yeah,
what was going on between your husband and her?
Okay.
Am I right?
I'm trying to not get emotional.
It's okay to get emotional. This is a heavy subject.
So I had planned a trip abroad, and there was an incident 2 days before I was scheduled to leave. I was very upset about it, and I had...
What was the incident?
she got nasty again because she wasn't invited up.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, I've had it. I can't do this anymore. I've been walking on eggshells, and the friendship is no longer worth it. However, she's my neighbor. Anyway, I didn't realize a lot of this until I returned. There were some things. Well, okay. Some of the things that she's done this past November, she sat me down, and she was sitting directly across from me, and she said, "So Mom's going to my brother's for Christmas, and I'll be flying solo." And she just sat there and smiled at me. And at that time, I mean, that's pressure.
It is, but let's go back to your husband.
Okay, go back to him. Okay, anyway, while I was gone, he thought he would try to talk with her. She, of course, stopped when she saw him outside, and they had a little conversation, and he said, "Why don't we talk? Why don't we get together and talk?"
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry. If a man that was not my husband, not my therapist, not my pastor stopped me, and at the end of the conversation said, "Why don't we talk?" I would have some questions, red flags. Anyway, she
or
said,
green flags if that's what you're hoping for.
Well, I would have red flags, but she smiled
That's
up
because
at
you're
him.
a person of character and integrity. But
Well, she smiled up at him and said, "I'd like that." So a couple of days later, he texted her and he said, "Would you like to have a drink? Get together for a drink?" And she said, "Sure, tomorrow." And he said, "Yeah." So she texted him the next day, said, "I'm home. You want to come down?" Which he went. Now, he was planning to have this conversation with her that she was destroying our friendship. But, of course, had he given it some thought, which he's a brilliant man, I don't know why he didn't. Once he got there, he realized he couldn't say that. What if she went into hysterics? But he was telling me this after no one told me while I was away that they had gotten together and had drinks. Mm-hmm. And as you can imagine,
she thought this was a date.
She thought it was a date.
Right. And, Renee, this is very hard for me to say because I like you.
I know.
But it might have been a date for him, too.
It wasn't.
Okay.
I know him.
Okay.
Okay.
So hold on. Let's get to where I can help you. Like you broke up this hard friendship. It's like everything you're telling me sounds like you were right on, that you gave somebody multiple chances. You were really clear with boundaries in a loving way. Sounds like your husband's a doofus, and I'm going to trust that he's on the up and up. He just didn't think it through. And I've been there too. I've been there too.
Yeah, he would be in here speaking to you if we needed him to.
Okay, so how can I help you? Let's get right to the question here. How can I help you?
I'm hurting her.
Say that one more time.
I'm hurting her. And it hurts me. And I don't know how to proceed. It hurts me that I'm hurting someone else because she has no one.
Okay.
She has no one. I've asked her to network. I've asked her. I've tried to get even after after 2.5 years that her husband had passed away. I said, we could create you a dating profile. We would double date with you. And she said, "Well, why can't we just do a threesome?"
Hey-o.
No. Not in that way.
I know her now. I know I'm playing.
But
Yeah, no, listen. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
You've heard me say that. If you listen to this show, you've heard me say this.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
You have to choose when you've got boundaries and you're holding boundaries. People that on the other side of those boundaries will smash up into them to see if they hold. And they smash up against them, and then it hurts their shoulder, and it hurts their back, and it hurts their face and their head because they keep pounding up against your boundaries, and then they blame you for that pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to choose guilt over resentment every time.
Her mother drove past me yesterday, and I waved at her, and she just...
Okay, but listen. They don't have the same emotional maturity that you do. And by the way, my guess is that she's like this with all people who are kind and loving to her.
That's what my husband said.
She burns them out. She tries to control them. And
that's why she doesn't have anyone.
But listen to me. She's using you to make herself feel better. And so you are right to have been as loving and kind and compassionate as you have been. To say, for the sanity of of myself and for the safety of my marriage, I have to withdraw from this friendship, and I wish you the best. And then she gets to decide, am I going to sit at home and be angry and miserable and lonely? You cannot make that choice for her. And because you're a kind, loving person, you're going to feel guilty about holding boundaries. And my guess is you've probably been a peacemaker your whole stinking life.
Yeah.
And so feel guilty. But listen, if you don't and you let her just run all over you, you're going to resent your husband. You're going to resent her. You're going to resent her dying mother. You're going to resent everybody. And that's not fair to any of them. Because that resentment will come because you didn't hold firm to your boundaries, what you know to be right. And so I want you to feel that discomfort and understand that's not yours to remedy. She's a grown woman who's making choices every day of her life.
You're right.
Those aren't choices that you can make. The fact that you have treated her with dignity, you've gone on trips to take care of her, you've sat her down when things got cross and you said, I'm your friend and I love you and you cannot talk to me like that. Like, you've done everything the right way. Hopefully you hit your husband on the head with a rolled up newspaper a few times and said, don't you ever text another woman and go have drinks with her ever again, especially at their house. Are you out of your freaking mind? I hope you did.
I did. Oh, not only that, we've been married for almost 35 years and we've never been as close as we are today because he took the time. It scared him.
It should.
Once he realized that probably what was in his mind could not have been in her mind. So what was she thinking?
Exactly what somebody would be thinking.
What was she thinking? What was? But he knew. I knew what he was thinking. He was trying to help. He was trying to save the friendship.
Okay.
But I said, how do you think she interpreted this?
Oh, we all know how Renee. We all know how she interpreted it. But here's the deal. You are right. I think you have been honoring and kind and held your friend accountable for treating you like dirt and for running all over your boundaries and putting you in really compromising social situations. And that's not friendship. That's somebody that's using you. And you're right to preserve your marriage. You're right to preserve your sanity. And all of that hurts because you're a kind, loving person. And so just because it feels bad doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because you feel guilty doesn't mean you've screwed something up or you've made some big mistake. Just social stuff is hard and it stinks sometimes. And I hate that for you. But I want you to tell you, you got my blessing. You've done everything right along the way and you can't control what your former friend decides to do next. And if she chooses loneliness and she chooses misery and her mom chooses just to ignore you like you do on an elementary school playground, then that's what they're choosing to do. And I'm confident that they wouldn't be in this same situation if that's not how they treated everybody in their life. So I hate that for you, but at the same time, Renee, I hear me say I'm really proud of how you've handled this. You've done this as well as you could possibly do it, and I wish everybody would follow your lead in dealing with challenging friendship situations because often that sit down that you had changes everything. It's a blessing. It's a gift, unless the person on the receiving end is incapable of hearing it. And at that point, you're right to draw boundaries and say, as for me and my house and me and my husband and me and my sanity, we're going to have to withdraw from this friendship, and I wish you the absolute best. Thank you for the call, Renee. You've just made my whole day, and I hate that you're hurting like this. I want you and your husband to go plan something fun, and y'all go find somebody to double date with. Not a threesome, but find someone to go double date with, and y'all go have a blast.